welcome back to Casablanca. In this episode, we're covering the first 4 seasons of Desperate Housewives. If you're watching this on YouTube, you probably noticed something a little different. Because for the first time here on Casablanca, for the first time here on Casablanca, I accidentally said the wrong name. I'm very careful not to say Casablanca. I have a guest, and not just a guest, I have two guests. Since the show we're covering is Desperate Housewives, I have a Desperate Housewives podcast with me. It's actually two friends of mine, Summer and Christy from We're Gonna Tell podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello,
Yeah,
listeners.
say your names so that they can recognize your voices. Like attribute the names to the voices.
Oh, so true. Hi, guys. I'm Christy.
And I'm Summer.
And something that I was wanting to do. So on your show, every episode you do a moment of desperation, and it's just funny because I had one last night and I'm like, you know what, this would be something perfect to say, and because we're doing this today, I'm like, you know what, this is a moment of desperation.
Please tell
So
us all about it.
I have a portable charger. It's a really big one. It's charging over there, otherwise I'd get up and get it. And I just uh it has like a 3 week charge. I never have to charge it. Well, I guess I took it for granted because yesterday at work, my phone was at 30% and I went to go plug it in and there was no dots left on it. And so,
Oh,
and what sucks is because after work, I had scheduled to see two movies back to back. So I went, saw those movies, and I went home and I had to navigate my way home without my phone. And I
Oh,
rely on
no.
the transit app. So,
yeah.
and I can't function well without Spotify. So like, yeah, that was not fun at all. I got home and like the first thing I did before I changed is I plugged in my portable charger and my phone.
And that'll never happen to you again.
Ever. I will always plug my portable charger in. Even though it has a 3 week charge, I will charge it every day off.
That's a pretty good moment of desperation, but I am dying to know which movies you saw back to back.
I don't think you've ever heard of it. The first one is called 1992. It's based on, well, the marketing's all wrong. It makes it sound like it's about the 1992 LA riots.
Oh.
It's a story that takes place during the riots, but it's a fictional story about a heist.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's Ray Liotta's in it. It's his last movie, and it's at first I was disappointed. I'm like, wait, this is about something else. It's just they use that as a backdrop. And at first I was
Yeah.
disappointed, but then the story went on. I was like, actually this is kind of interesting.
Yeah. A
And then
pleasant surprise.
the other movie, it was called Reagan. It's about the life of Ronald Reagan.
Yes,
And
that I've heard of.
that one, it was actually really interesting. I kind of liked it. It was kind of a conservative Braveheart though. So the propaganda was screaming in there, but like
mm,
if you can look past that, it was a pretty good movie. I
nice.
am glad that because originally I was planning on seeing them today, but
Mm.
like I didn't know how long this was going to last, so I canceled today's tickets and moved them to yesterday, and I'm glad I did because Summer, you said you know about Reagan, so I'm sure you know why I'm bringing it up, and I'm glad I saw it last night instead of today, because it turns out you know who one of the people who star in the movie is? Mark Moses.
Oh,
And I didn't even know that. I was watching the movie and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, is that Paul Young?
no, I'm freaking out. The way I'm gonna cancel the barbecue I'm hosting later, and I have to watch this movie to see Mark Moses. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm
He
freaking
plays a
out right
char
now.
he plays a character called wait, no, that's the wrong. Oops. I forgot I did more searching on Wikipedia after and I was on a totally different page. He plays a character called William P. Clark Jr., who served as Reagan's Secretary of State, then later his National Security Advisor, and then his Secretary of the Interior.
Oh,
And
love
so
that.
he's not in the movie a lot, but he's in there
It's
enough.
okay.
The fact he's in there,
Yes, yes.
No, I'm freaking out.
We
That's
have to go.
crazy.
I think we
On the
have to
eve
go
of
through
having the
his.
two biggest Paul Young stands too. It was
I
Yes,
know.
that
yes,
you saw
That's
that.
why when I saw him, I was like, I have to tell them. And what's funny
yes.
is I thought like I figured if I were to ever see him in anything now, he'd look really old. But he looks younger in this. I think like I think they
Ugh,
dyed his hair because his hair is like a dark brown or something.
I love him so
Yeah.
much.
He looks pretty
Mm.
much the same. We followed him on Instagram. I feel like he looks.
Yeah.
We've spoken to him on
You
Instagram.
oh,
It's not
you had
just
me
a.
to for a second there. I thought you were gonna be like we spoke to him in person, which knowing y'all's track record, I wouldn't be surprised. Y'all
No,
met?
we tried. We
We sure
tried.
did try. Yeah, Christy had been sort of encouraging me during the SAG strike to go over there and obviously, march and like be a part of the strike, but specifically to see Mark Moses as he was there like every single day.
Yeah, I was like, go network, go talk to him, get him on the pod.
So how many times have y'all? Her name's blanking me. I'm picturing it. How many times have y'all seen Brie in person?
So we met her twice. The first time was last year here in New York, and she was doing a play at the Signature Theater. And we sort of on a whim, Christy was like, I'm going to be in New York. Let's go to this play while I'm there, and we're going to meet Marcia after and talk to her. And that's basically exactly how it went. So we got to speak to her. There was no like stage door, there was no barricade. Like anybody could just walk up to her. So I stormed over and I was like, Marcia, Marcia. And then Christy and I launched into, Hi, we have a podcast. She was super, super gracious and kind and asked us about it. And then we followed each other on Instagram for about a year and cut to a couple weeks ago, we went to go see her in a play in Los Angeles. So we've met her in person twice, but we've spoken to her quite a bit back and forth over the past year.
I saw the picture of all y'all together, and I'm like, okay, that I envy.
Aw, thank you.
How many of them have you? How many of the cast have you met in person? Because I remember you said like you were talking to somebody and you didn't realize that it was one of the. It was somebody. I forgot who you said it was. It was like I think you said it was like Edie's nephew. You didn't realize it was him.
Yeah, so live where I live in LA, I live in Studio City, and it's kind of where like all it's mainly where like the actors who aren't like super, super famous actors live, but like just the working actors. So I was in a bar around here, and I just see this guy, and he just looked so familiar to me. And I couldn't place him. Like I hadn't watched Desperate Housewives in a few years, but like I would think I would pick up on all of them. And I was like with a friend of mine, and we were like, she kind of recognized him too. So we were like kind of like communicating with our eyes. And then all of a sudden he walked up to me and he goes, Hey, I love your jacket. And I was like, Thanks. And he was like, Okay, nice talking to you. And I was like, All right. And then he just came back around and he goes, Okay, I'm gonna come talk to you guys again. And you're like, Okay. And they were just chatting. My friend was talking to him more than I was. But then he said something about being an actor. And I said, Okay, now that you say that, you do look familiar. What were you on? And he was like, Desperate Housewives. And I said, No, you weren't. I mean, no, you were not. I watched that show like 8 times. I would have recognized you. That's my favorite show of all time. And he was like, I played Edie's nephew in season 3. And I just went, You were on Desperate Housewives. Yes, that's correct. But he was really nice. And then who else have I seen? I saw him, and then a few weeks later, I was at another bar in Burbank, and I saw the woman who plays Orson's wife on the season that we're currently covering, season 3. I didn't talk to her then because I didn't really have much to say. But after I saw her, that's when I texted Summer and I was like, I think we should do a Desperate Housewives podcast because we're always like looking for a project to do.
We sure
And
are.
like every few years, we're like, okay, what antics are we gonna come up with now?
Yeah.
And
But I
I
was
think,
like,
Christy, it's important to note that you do have a lot of these run-ins. You did see
mhm.
Teri Hatcher in person, didn't get to
Oh,
talk to her,
I
but you saw
did. I
her.
forgot about that. Yes. And then of
Across the
Yes.
course,
street, I remember that.
yes, and then of course, Jesse Metcalf, we've also
Yeah, we've
talked
we've had
to.
the pleasure or displeasure, depending on how you look at it, of speaking to Jesse Metcalf in person.
Context?
All we're gonna say is John Tucker Must Die is a documentary, I think. It's a nonfiction film.
I would like to add that we do have a story time of our encounter with Mr. Metcalf up on our Patreon. We have made it exclusive because we don't want to air out anyone's dirty laundry. But it wasn't the best experience of our lives, we'll put it that way.
He's kind of enemy of the pod. Who else have we seen? I feel like there had to have been somebody else.
Well, we did one episode with Cody Cash, but we haven't gotten to like spend time with
Oh,
him
yeah.
in person. So
Right.
You mentioned the Patreon. I keep forgetting that you have that. I have to join
So
that.
do we.
Trevor, we also forget that we have it.
Don't join it yet. Don't join it yet. We're workshopping. I think we know now what we're gonna do with it. So don't join it just
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll give you the go ahead.
I had a Patreon at one point for the podcast for the first one, Digressor. And then I had a just a $1 tier. I had nothing to offer.
Yeah.
What I did at the time was I'd record the episode and post it the next day. And now I record months in advance. So like
Mhm.
at the time, I didn't have anything to offer, so the $1 tier was all I had. It was access to the Discord server. I didn't have
Oh,
anybody on
okay.
the, I didn't have anyone on the Patreon, so I just opened up the Discord and got rid of the Patreon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of know what that's like because we have a
Yeah.
free tier and we're like, oh, there are so many people who are into the free tier, but we don't really have anything for them. So,
I think what we might do now, so many people have told us that they love the moment of desperation thing. So we might do a Patreon of us just like chatting. Because it sounds like that's what
Speaking of
people
which,
actually would like.
y'all were talking. You said something about you're always looking for a project to do, and I keep encouraging y'all to start your own separate podcast where y'all just talk, no theme, no topic, just hit record and just go because y'all just like y'all could easily go like the first 40 minutes of the podcast just talking, and they're like, oh, that's right, this is a podcast about Desperate Housewives, and it's like,
yes.
oh, that's right.
Well, it's especially good if Christy and I haven't like spoken in a few days or a week or so,
Mhm.
because then we have a lot to get out. But Trevor, let's put this out there to you. Christy and I have a couple of names we're throwing around for our next podcast, and we have one that we've kind of had in our pocket for a while that I love called Coastal Behavior. But now we're, starting to workshop the idea of having moments of desperation be like its own separate thing. So what do you think?
Oh crap, I like that. Moments of Desperation could be like a spin-off of the Desperate Housewives podcast,
Right,
Yeah.
but then also the other one would it would be its own separate thing.
right, right. So that's
It
why we're sort of stuck.
That's why I think it
that
should be moments of desperation because I think it would be an easier like spin since we've kind of created this like whole thing with moments of desperation. And I
yeah
think that sounds like a little bit funnier and it's definitely going to be like a comedy podcast.
But
that
I think Coastal Behavior is such a great title.
It is an
I
incredible
like it.
title that I
It
didn't come up with.
reminds me. I have a third podcast I'm working on. It's that name reminds me of it. It started out as a joke. I told my coworkers. You know how whenever people say Pacific, they say specific, and then vice versa.
Yes.
I was like, that's oddly Pacific. And then
Oh, I like that.
and then
Mhm.
I started saying it as a joke, and I'm like, that's an idea for a podcast episode, podcast. And I started working on it. Instead of it's not a comedy podcast. I'm wanting to do it's basically it's mysteries of the Pacific Coast.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
okay.
cool as
That sounds
heck.
awesome.
That's cool as heck.
Frick me up, frick me up.
Yeah, I would definitely listen to that. I also think
Yeah.
Digressor is a great name. So I'm just putting that out there. That's
That
so
that
cool.
also started out as a joke back in high school. My friends and I were talking about what superhero it would be, and they came up
Mhm.
with different ones, and they were all like, whatever. And I said, I'm the digressor, and they're like, what's that? And I was like,
Oh, that's great.
I said I would keep changing the subject and make the villain forget what they were doing.
Yes. No, that's so funny because my first thought was, oh, it sounds like a superhero name. So awesome. Yes.
And so, like, when I was coming up with the podcast, I was like, what could I name it? I don't know. And I was literally messaging my friends, like, what can I name it? I don't know. And then finally one day I was like, I was looking at my Facebook memories, and I had posted that back in 2009, the digressor, and I'm like,
That's it. By George, I think we've got it.
I love that.
and then Casablanca just came around because I like puns. It also that started out as a blog. I don't really update it often anymore. It's a blog called The Blog, and it's the blog about whatever. That's the full thing, and then it's just the blog, and then I do different. Each category has a pun. Like there's a TV one called the Blogging Dead,
I
and then one
love
where I
I love
that.
talk
that.
about there's two different movie ones. There's the one movies I consider to be the greatest of all time, Casablanca, and then just a general movie blog called Desolation of Blog, and
So cool.
yeah, it got, and then the last one, those two more. There was a gaming one where I talk about games called The Elder Blog, and then
Yeah,
the last
I
one,
like that.
the last one I talked about music. It's called Blogtoven.
Oh my
Oh
God, you're
my
such an
gosh.
And
expert.
so when I decided to do a movie podcast, I'm like, I'll just make it a podcast version of the blog.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. It's like you have your own Trevor Tipton umbrella, and then all these things are falling under it.
Well, it's funny you say that because okay, I'm gonna edit this part out. I'm not ready to announce this yet. I think I told you all about my idea for
Yeah,
oh wait. Oh, maybe I should have done Skype because it says I have 10 minutes remaining of
it's okay. We can pop back into the same link.
Oh, okay. I see. It's been a long Oh yeah, I used to have the paid version so I could just go on
Hmm.
forever. Is this going
Yeah.
to have a watermark?
No, it shouldn't.
Okay. Anyway, back in. Anyway, we've been talking for almost an hour and actually no, how long has I don't know. I don't know when we started
Half an
recording.
hour. Half an hour.
Half
Yeah.
an hour? This is just like your podcast. We've yet to actually talk about the first four
Yeah.
seasons of Desperate Housewives, which is fine. I totally don't mind. We've talked about Desperate Housewives. It's totally um I don't even you know what? I was so excited to talk to y'all that I didn't even think about the actual content of the show.
That's honestly, that's flattering. I like that.
It's like it's like I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far.
You're so me. Christy, how many times have I said that sentence unironically?
You do say it all the time. I think we had a long conversation about it when we were recording last night.
Yes, because I am, yes. And as
Hmm.
Christy knows, and Trevor, you'll come to know, I am somebody who doesn't think about the consequences of my actions.
Very
Yeah,
true.
Summer, you
Very
remember how a couple
true.
weeks ago and on Instagram I said I love you both, but you're my favorite because
Oh, I
you're
saw
the
that. I was like,
you and I
okay.
yeah, you and I are so similar, and I'm like you do think that I'm like that's me.
That makes me so happy. I hope that, all the listeners are able to identify with either one or both of us, but I think it's almost like when you're watching Wicked, I have to compare it to Wicked. And you're like really drawn to Elphaba or you're really drawn to Galinda and like you still love the show as a whole and you love the other character, but there's something special there.
I'm for
I
like the
had
drier, meaner listeners.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think that's a normal thing though because there was a couple of my coworkers I'm really close to, and yesterday I was talking with one of them, and I was like, it was like a similar dynamic where I was talking with her and I said, so with her, I'm trying not to say their names on the podcast. You know what? No one listens to this anyway. So
We name
That's us
names.
all the
We
time,
name
yeah.
names.
Mina and Nicole. Mina was like a little sister to me. And then so like I was talking with Nicole and I said, yeah, I was like, she and I are like really close, and I forgot how I worded it, but like she got offended for a second. She just thought that like I didn't like her at all, and that's what I was afraid that you
Oh,
were gonna do. I thought, Christy, I thought that's what you were gonna think whenever I. That's why I was like, I gotta be careful how I word this because there's other people reading this, and so
oh no. It
and
takes
so
so much to offend her.
but
It's
I
true.
realized I found a wording yesterday while talking with Nicole because she was like, "Yeah, I know, like you f with her more," and I was like, "No, no, 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 not more, just different."
Differently,
because
yeah.
with Nicole, I can vent to. I talk to her. We have like serious conversations. With Mina, I can basically yas with her, like
Yeah, yeah,
hug,
yeah.
like jump up and down holding hands. And like another way I worded it was I vent to Nicole and I spill the tea to Mina.
Sure,
And
yes.
that's you two, basically. It's like the same dynamic in a way.
I
That's
get
what I
that. I
like to
get
hear.
that.
And you know what? I think that's actually a good almost segue into Desperate Housewives because something Christy and I do talk about a lot is identifying with like one of the four main characters or more typically like two of them.
I'm
Because
teasing.
you know how on Sex in the City you're supposed to be at least two of them, like a healthy mix of two. I feel like it's the same with Desperate Housewives. And we've gone over this, Christy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, because they're all, oh my gosh, are archetypes.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to really be one. Like I always say, I'm like, I guess we do this. Trevor, who are your housewives, sun, moon, and rising? Because like mine is, I think I'm an Edie sun,
You are.
Lynette moon, Gabby
Gabby
rising.
Rising.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing about that, I hear y'all say that all the time, but I honestly don't know. I just
Oh,
know that I know that I relate the most to Susan. Every time she falls or like burns something or
Mhm.
does something stupid, I'm like,
yes.
I haven't done that, but I would do that.
Yes. Totally
Yeah.
understand.
Hmm. Yeah. Summer's a Susan too, so that makes sense
I'm a,
And I
I'm a
think
very healthy Bree Susan combo.
for
I'm
sure.
also Golden Girls, I'm Rose all the way.
Yes, yes. Okay, so my cat's name is Blanche, as you've probably heard me refer to on the pod.
Yeah.
Rose is my favorite, but Blanche is the one that I think I am the most. So, and Christy, you are Dorothy.
Are you a Southern Belle?
I don't know Golden Girls that well.
It's okay,
I
Trevor,
don't.
I'll get her into it. I'll get her into it.
Convert
I've
her.
seen episodes here and there.
One of us.
Wait, why am I Dorothy?
Yeah,
You'll
you'll
see.
see.
Is
Just
she a little
super,
mean?
yes. She's B. Arthur. She's
Yeah.
dry, sarcastic, kind of always
Okay.
has like a witty quip and a little insulting to the others.
See, that's
Also,
a special talent.
I know I said this to you in messages, Christy, but like I'm noticing more like talking to you live. Um, like with your mannerisms and stuff, you remind me of Julie Mayer.
Really? That's so
Oh, that's
interesting.
cute.
That's so funny.
Do
I
you do you
remember you
see it
saying that, and
somewhere?
I've been trying to like pinpoint it now when I've been watching the show, but it's like hard to like see your own mannerisms.
Oh, of
Summer,
course.
do you
But
see it?
also, you know, Trevor, that's like a funny point because I've known Christy for 10 years. So I will never have a similar vantage point than you from like not knowing her the way that I do. But when you point that out, now I'm going to start to look for it.
Mhm. So like, what is it? I feel like she goes like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Like she did like Julie just has a certain mannerism. It's like I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the way the actor does or if like they told her like, hey, act like this. But
Right.
like okay, so perfect example, 1-to-1. You remember how when you were Christy, when you were talking about when you ran into the Edie's nephew, and you were like the way you reacted, like, no, you're not. Like that's literally how
Oh,
Julie reacted to
yes.
him. Like
I did think
same
about that.
mannerisms. Julie did the same mannerisms to her. Like it's like you're not as hot as you think you are.
Yes, yes. Okay, now I see
No,
what you're talking about.
he
Yeah.
probably got flashbacks to being on set
Yeah.
when I bullied him. I was like, you're literally not on Desperate Housewives. You're not even an actor. So, oh well. But that's so funny.
You seeing the
Yeah.
countdown too?
Yeah.
Yes. Dave, if you want, we can pop out now and then just come back in on the same link.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording and then wait, how do I okay. So apparently it's not counting down the recording, it's the meeting itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as I started recording as soon as you joined, I think for Desperate Housewives Part 1, Part 2, we should um actually talk about the show. Wow.
Bless you. If that was a sneeze, I'm assuming.
It was a cough.
Oh, well, still bless you.
Mhm.
Bring back manners 2024.
Yeah, I try to be nice to people in public. Like it's weird. It's funny. I hold the door open for someone and then like a whole group of people and they're like, just leave. I'm like, but then I'll close the door on someone.
Yes. Wow, you're so me. We are the same person. Okay.
See, I told you. Well, anyway, Desperate Housewives. W- I've how are we going to talk about the show? Like, I want to talk about the show, but I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen it. I
It's been
also
on
think,
for so long. We don't care about spoilers. We're like,
yeah, I mean, but I noticed there are people getting into it now. Hello?
Yes, there you
you
are.
are.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've noticed that a lot of people are just getting into it for the first time. And it's one of those things where, at least on our podcast, we are careful about spoilers in that as we go episode by episode, if we drop something that we know happens much later, we'll just kind of say like a timestamp and hey, skip over this for a minute or 30 seconds if you don't want a spoiler. But it is one of those things where we're kind of like, well, the show ended in 2012. So if it's been over
Yeah.
for 12 years, you've kind of had enough time.
Fair enough. So, I guess we'll include minor spoilers. We won't include like people who die later in the second half
Sure.
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
people who lose the use of their legs in the second half.
Yes, exactly.
So, how do y'all want to talk about it? Go season by season? You're going episode by episode. We don't have time for that. We can go season by season.
Yeah, we can
Sure.
definitely do
Yeah. Whatever
that.
you want to do.
Well, see, like the uh, something I forgot to mention at the beginning. I had said on my I said on my Twitter and on my Instagram when I made the announcement, this was originally going to be episode 56, and I pushed it back and then pushed it back again, and then I accidentally forgot to change the titles of those episodes,
Oh,
and so it went from episode 55 to 56 to 57, and then I had a couple people messaging like, "Did I miss an episode?" And I was like,
uh,
"Oh." And so like, and then I forgot to do it again. So then like episode 58 came out, and I'm like 57.
yeah, yeah. No, honestly,
And
if it's
so
any consolation, we do similar things all the time because you're a one-person operation running the show.
yeah,
Hmm.
and so like I said in the announcement, I'll explain whenever the episode goes up. So originally I had recorded the Desperate Housewives Part 1 episode, and I was like, "All right, it's done, it's scheduled. I'm done with that. Moving on." And then I like I didn't even it's like I befriended them and I didn't even wasn't even thinking about having them on as guests. And then it actually they had the actor that played Zach Young on their show. And I'm like, wait, they're open to casting.
Oh
So
yeah, oh yeah.
I asked them if they could be on Desperate Housewives Part 2, and then I'm like, wait a second. We can re-record the first one. I kind of didn't like the first one because it was mostly just me talking about my history of the show. I barely even talked about the show itself. So yeah.
Well, everybody's got like a specific tie to the show. I know for Christy and I, we watched it when we were well, I was far too young to be watching it, but yeah, everybody's got like their history to the show, and then obviously like the content itself is a little different, but that's what makes it so special, you know?
I
Yeah.
think for me, like watching it, because my mom didn't really watch it when I was growing up because she wanted to be an actress in the 90s. So all of them were her age. So she got upset. Um, but so I didn't really watch it then. However, I kind of picked up on it when it was like on Netflix right before the show had ended. And I say this all the time on the pod, but I think it's so interesting, like how my perspectives change on like the characters and the circumstances based on like where I am in my
Yeah.
life. Like when I first watched it as an angsty 15-year-old, I saw season one Brie and I was like, she's so annoying. Oh my God, I would hate to have her as a mom. And now I'm like, no, like I want to live in her house forever. Like I want to live in her basement and have her cook me amazing meals and
Yeah.
just like be a stay-at-home daughter. She's
You were
incredible. Like,
basically Andrew when season one, when you watched season one.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yes. If I was like an angsty gay, I would have been Andrew. for sure.
And you're saying you're not an angsty gay? I'm pretty sure that's No, and I think that's what's so special about especially the first season is like it really hooks you in with all of these characters with very, very strong storylines to start and very big personalities.
Mhm.
And that, goes back to like identifying with one of the core four, so to speak. But it kind of doesn't matter what age you are because you're going to find somebody in this world to relate to tie back to you. And I think that's really one of season one's strengths and one of season two's weaknesses.
Agreed,
So
agreed.
one thing I love about the show, I am a big fan of like story development, character development. Tell me a
Yeah.
good story where the characters change. I love that. And that's what I love about this. And like for example with the first time I watched it, the first time I ever saw the first episode, Gabby and Carlos were my least favorite characters. I hated them.
Really?
Really?
And then by the end of the show, they were my favorite characters because all the characters have changed by throughout the eight seasons. They've changed the most.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're not even the same people played by the same actors. That's how much they've changed. If
Right.
you finish the last episode and turn around and watch the first episode, you're like, wait, what happened? Like they went through a lot.
Right, right. No, that's a
No,
great point.
that's so true. And I think that is such like one of the beauties of television that I was actually just talking about this with somebody the other day that with current TV we don't see because we're in such an era of like miniseries and every episode has to like have a purpose and it can't just be a filler episode to just develop the character. And with
Yeah.
television before, it was like you would be sitting with these characters for like 8 years. You would see them go
Yeah.
through so much. You really genuinely cared about them. And now it's like TV is just like extended movies that
Yeah.
maybe there will be a little
Yeah.
character development, but not as much as like seeing this like really abusive machismo husband like turn into like a really like amazing caring husband and father.
And
So
like
it's just there's so much there.
that's one thing I don't like too. Like they used to have like Desperate Housewives. Every season has like 23 episodes. You have a chance to like sit and relax with with these characters in slow moments, even though they're not even doing anything. And
Right.
now you get shows like with like for example Doctor Who. They used to have like longer seasons where you can actually sit and relax, where the doctor and the companion actually you got to know them and got to care for them
Yeah.
as partners.
Mhm.
But now in this season that just ended, there was 8 episodes. I don't know who this.
Right.
I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
Right,
The
right. And
companion.
that's funny that yes. And I think it's also a product of I'm going to say like early 2000s television as a whole because right now I'm watching Monk and
I love Monk.
I love it. I'm so deeply invested in these people. I love Sharona. I love Adrian Monk. Like I love each of these characters and Monk only has like 10 or 11 episodes a season, but they do such a good job of fleshing these people out. And it's
Yes.
still a 40-minute uh episode. So it's a quality it's a quality control issue, I think.
Even like the one in Monk, even like the one-off characters, like the victim's family, like in one episode, like
Yes.
you love them. Like, no, come back, be a recurring character.
Yes, yes. I'm still in the first season, but I just watched the episode when they're on vacation and they're at the hotel and they have like the
In the
in-hotel
briefcase.
detective. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with
I
Rita
love that.
Bronwyn. I
That
love
was
her.
that reminded me of Columbo in a way because
Yeah.
he was kind of Columbo would be like, oh, and another thing, he'd come back with Monk. He couldn't solve the case and he left and he'd come back and he looked this
Yeah.
picture. The briefcase wasn't there before.
Yes,
And
yes, exactly. Like, and it gives me a chill. And yeah, it just feels so real and so relatable. And it's something that TV now is lacking. But we've seen
Yeah.
Desperate Housewives do it. We've seen Monk. We've seen Doctor Who, like capable of making such rich, vivid characters with really fully fleshed out lives. And you would think that as time has gone on, we would be doing more and more of that, but I haven't seen it.
yeah, if they
I
were to
think
do
it's
like
coming
the
back around. I'm
if
I'm
they
a
were to
linear
do
television
a
truther.
yeah.
We'll be back.
Yes. There was a recent show, I don't remember what it was. It did have like 23 episodes and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. But if they were to do a Desperate Housewives revival or like a reboot or something, I guarantee you each season would have like 10 episodes. And it would just be like
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight it would just be like straight to the mystery and then like the basic points, not
right,
in the actual show. There's all these like side characters and side quests that they go on,
right,
and
right.
Mhm.
little storylines going on that like it fleshes out this whole world. It's like it feels like you can actually go to Wisteria Lane and live there. I want to move there. Okay, maybe not because there's so much drama and scandal and death, but you
Well,
know,
have I got news for you?
Summer, don't do this.
please do it.
Oh, Trevor, we don't have time for it. But I'll message you about it separately.
Uh,
It's gonna blow your mind.
I am excited to hear about this. Anything you have to say, I no one. Wow.
I'm gonna
Okay.
transport you to Wisteria Lane. It's a long story. We'll get into it later.
Okay. You probably saw my face, like,
Yes, but just to kind of touch on season one as a whole, I remember going through and recording. Now it was like almost this time last year that Christy and I were going through season one. And I feel like there were so many quote unquote filler episodes or even just filler storylines where a lot of the time we were saying, oh, Lynette had the D story this time because it just wasn't like super high stakes, super important. It was
I
really
remember
just,
that.
yeah, just showing us like, oh, Lynette has this kind of crappy little life with her crappy little family. Oh my God, is that an okay word to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Her
I
life
say
is
crap like
not
that all the time.
great. Her life is not that extraordinary. And like she always seemed to be getting the short end of the stick in terms of what the storyline was. But still, it didn't take away from us like loving Lynette. It still helped to build out the character. So we were seeing a lot of like those filler storylines in season one, even if it wasn't a full filler episode.
But it was
Yeah,
also
and
so grounding for the show too, because we
Yes.
would have like this juxtaposition of like um this trunk being taken out of the river and there's body chunks in it and everything. And then we would cut to Lynette like rounding her kids up. And it was just so it that's what makes the show so special. It's like in one show, you have this like crazy murder, and then Lynette has the nanny cam on trying
Right,
to
right, right.
see if her nanny's
I
a better
love
mom than her.
I love that you pointed out something whenever y'all were talking about the about season one, whenever y'all were talking about that on your show, you pointed out something that I literally thought of the first time I watched the show. If he had just left the trunk under the pool, nobody would have ever found it. He
No, it
throws
drives
it
me
in the river.
insane.
He throws it in the river, and then it's found like the next day.
We talk a lot about this because we love Paul Young so much, but we don't love him for his brains because he just makes such stupid decisions throughout season one. He's almost like, oh, what bad decision can I make next? And he's always trying to top himself in terms of like terrible decision making.
Yeah, it's like he could have just covered it up, like just leave it alone. Nobody's gonna dig up the pool. No one's gonna dig up the pool. And then he would have just been able to stay on the lane, would have been known as a great husband and father, and wouldn't have ended up in jail.
And he would
So
have had so much more sympathy extended to him.
yes.
Yeah.
And we are like, again, we talk about the show all the time, but like what they did to the Paul Young character is so deeply upsetting because one of my
Yeah.
favorite things in TV is like when there's somebody who's introduced as a villain, kind of what they did with Orson, like introduces a villain, and then as the years go on, you as a viewer and the characters kind of forget that they're a villain and they just kind of like come back into like normal life. They could have done that with Paul Young. Like by season three, we could have seen him like go on like dinner dates or
Oh,
hooking up with Edie or like something really good.
yeah.
Just like normal, like just a normal storyline. And they didn't do that, which is actually really harrowing and sad now that we're critically looking at this show.
Can I give a
Yeah.
what if? And
Yes.
Christy, I know you'll like this.
Okay.
Trevor, feel free to give your thoughts and opinions. But imagine instead of Ian, instead of the Ian storyline, Christy already loves it.
Oh my God, stop.
We had Paul Young sort of romancing Susan at this time, or just like being a caring shoulder for, Mike being in the coma, and just however like that would look, just the two of them starting to get to know each other and kind of become friends. And then the animosity that that would create when Mike wakes up, if Susan was like now friends with Paul.
And then Mike hates him.
Yes.
Summer, I'm so upset we were not in the writer's room. I'm so upset we were 12,
I know.
10, and not like fully formed adults
I
in the
know.
ABC writer's room because that would have been amazing instead of introducing Ian
But you
to
know what?
Because
That's what
Paul Young that
fan
role.
fiction is for.
I
they
don't do fan fiction.
they kind of had that idea, I guess, in a way, because she does dream about him later.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Well, there was that one episode in season 1 when we were at the dance, and I was like, oh my God, why is my heart racing for
Yeah.
Susan and Paul right
Be
now?
still my heart. Right,
He's
right.
like, I was obsessed. So I think that must have been something that they were like toying with and then never came to fruition. Again, like now working at a studio, I learned about all like the politics that goes on behind the scenes as to why storylines get dropped and things like that. So it
Yeah.
very well could have just been tossed away. But I know I'm a
Oh,
truther.
I just remembered that, like, because we were talking about like our history with the show. I already talked about it in the first recording, so in my mind, I'm like, oh, I already checked that box. I didn't go through it again because that recording doesn't. It exists. I'm not going to post it, but uh, um, yeah. So my history with that, I was trying to find something. It's funny that you said that you started watching it and on Netflix as it was ending. So did I, because a friend of mine and I, we were talking about shows to watch. I was like, give me something to watch on Netflix. And she says, Desperate Housewives. And I'm like, I'm being serious. And she goes, no, I am too. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll watch the first episode. If I don't like it, I'm not watching it. And then the first episode has like, it starts with a suicide. And then it just goes from there. It's like, like a buried family secret, announcement of a divorce,
Yeah.
and like this. I'm like, attempted murder. And I'm like, okay, you
Yeah.
got me for the first episode. The first episode ends like, sorry girls, I never wanted you to know my secret. And I was like, and I binged the first time I watched it, I watched all 8 seasons in under a month. And
Me
and
too, I
yes.
think.
And so, but here's the
I
thing.
have
I,
chills.
I loved it so much. And then so like that was in 2013. And in 2016 I watched it again and I spaced it out over the course of a year on Hulu because they'd already taken it off Netflix. And I realized when I watched it my second time that because I watched it so fast, there was entire storylines and characters I missed. Because like I
Yeah.
couldn't separate the chapters. I couldn't separate the seasons. It was just one
Yeah.
big long, and so whenever I slow down and I actually appreciated it more. And now here it is in 2024, like almost 10 years after that. And they keep moving where it's at. So I bought them on, actually, you know what? One of the first things I told y'all is that I've been buying them on DVD.
Oh.
Oh, good.
I bought them one at a time
I
Oh
love
my
physical
gosh.
media.
Yeah.
and I couldn't find the box set. And after I bought season 8, guess what I found? The box set.
Oh
It's
no,
like
but the
I was
box
like,
that's a good collector's item.
Yeah.
but I was like, you know what? I am not replacing these unless they release them on Blu-ray. I that's the only reason I would replace these is if they
Yeah.
release them on Blu-ray, and it doesn't look like they're going to.
I mean, it kind of looks beautiful. Like that might be a silly thing to say, but it's
What
Yeah.
visually
what's
very
funny is
appealing.
like this one's thick, and then this one's
Yeah.
standard size, thick, regular. Like there's no consistency here.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you know what, Trevor, to your point about watching it all at once versus spacing it out over a long time, there's something to be said for that too. And for shows that we see now that are just dropping all their episodes at once, or even if they are going week by week, it's like you don't always remember to tune in. And I think that's one of the problems with streaming. But watching the show week by week with Christy is kind of cool because there is so much going on in this show right from season 1. You know, you said we start with a suicide and then we have 4 very distinct stories happening. We have Edie, we have Carl, we have this one, we have that one. And there are so many side characters who show up for like a cameo, an episode or 2. We have Stu from Stu's Place. We have Nat. We have Carol. We have like all of these one-off characters. And I think something that Desperate Housewives does so well is that it still manages to keep you like knowing who these people are, and you're still able to follow despite having so many people rotating through that revolving door, so to speak.
That's true. I love that.
Which some shows are not good at doing. Like I remember I would watch Pretty Little Liars. Did I ever go on a Pretty Little Liars rant on our show Summer
No,
or
no.
okay. I hate that show. I was obsessed with it.
I was thinking about watching it, but I never got around to watching it.
So I was obsessed with that show when it was first on, and then it's kind of like teen Desperate Housewives, really. And then I watched that, and then Desperate Housewives was kind of the first like adult show I started watching that kind of like transitioned me into like that kind of media rather than just like Disney Channel and ABC Family. And after I watched Desperate Housewives, I was like, oh, this is what a well-written show looks like.
Sure.
Because with Pretty Little Liars, it's like same premise. It's four girls. There's a mystery like every season, but like they'll be in season 3 referencing something really small that happened in season 1. And
Ugh.
it's like they wouldn't wrap anything up. Whereas I feel like Desperate Housewives does a really good job of wrapping up like the big things and then the smaller things that we are going to remember continue, like the Susan and Mike back and forth and like the Edie and like the relationships continue on, but like the storylines end every season is
Right.
kind of the best way to put it.
One thing I love is that even they do wrap up the mystery and stuff. It's
Mhm.
not each season isn't self-contained.
Yes.
Like something I didn't even notice until this watch through is that you find out that what happens at the end of season the last episode of season 1 you find out the answer to the mystery. It was Mary Alice that killed her and all that, and Paul Young tells Mike everything, but the girls don't find out till the first episode of season 2.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's a great point.
I didn't even notice that because I'm thinking, oh yeah, we finally know. And then
Right.
at the first episode of season 2, they're walking down Mike comes home and tells Susan, and then they're walking down the road and they're like, so Mary Alice killed her, and they're like,
Right.
yeah, it's. And I was like, oh, they're just now finding that out.
Right. 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 Yeah, I kind of love and hate sometimes when we as the audience know something that the characters don't, because either I like being in on it or it will drive me insane that they don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And like
But
they're
Desperate
being,
Housewives is good about it.
it's like oh, I saw that.
Tofu would poop on his butt. Ew.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Tofu.
What the heck?
Where's my
Ew.
cat?
Sorry.
I don't have any.
Thought I smelled
The
something.
closest thing I had to an animal, my sister gave me this. I
Oh, I love
I
it.
I named it Weird Owl.
Christy, are you going to tell Trevor your history with Weird Al?
Oh,
I guess I can.
please.
My mom dated him for a little while
What?
before I was born. Before I was born, but I know him. He's like a family friend.
I was just saying, like, could you secretly be
I wish.
He could have been my dad. They were
Weird
like,
Al
it
could
was
have
like
been your
right
dad.
before she met my dad. Yeah.
So, have you gotten a DNA test? Have you done 23andMe?
Oh, no, trust me, she's her father's daughter.
I
Oh,
am my
okay.
father's daughter. Yeah, there's no doubt about
It's
that.
like you're 83% accordion.
Oh, I wish. I wish.
No, I'm too much like my dad to be Weird Al's child.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, where were we after Tofu just disrupted it? Ew, I need to
Well,
clean
I,
up.
I think we can touch on season 2 because Christy and I
Yeah.
obviously have a lot of gripes with it. We do complain
Hmm.
about it a
Yeah.
lot. And even now that on our show we are covering season 3, we still keep referencing our qualms with season 2.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
my thing is like,
I
sorry,
keep
Trevor, what was you gonna say?
forgetting. I keep forgetting the mystery of season 2. It was the Applewhites
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
with season 1, like most of the mysteries throughout the show, it's like that's like the main focus, and there's the little side stories. But then season 2, it's like the Applewhites. They were like every now and then, it's like, oh, here's a little bit more of the story, and then
Yes,
like
yes.
so it's like
Yeah.
not much of a mystery.
No, it felt very disconnected. And I think, again, like you said, watching it before, it's like you're watching it kind of all as one, the show. So you're not really noticing like all the little things. And I've only ever really binged this show. I haven't watched it like week by week that we're doing now. And I would only also pay attention to like the Mike and Susan storylines and like all the relationships was more interesting to me than the mysteries. I was like, oh yeah, the mystery, but I
Right.
cared more about the relationships. So now paying attention to the writing and like all of every single storyline, I'm starting to notice these things a little bit more. And yeah, we say it every week that the Applewhite storyline was just so disconnected to the rest of the show. Why should we care about this? Whereas like with Orson now in season 3, they're bringing him in and it's like, okay, so he's already kind of ingrained himself in the lives of these characters that we love. So, what's the, oh, sorry, I just got a text. So now it's like the stakes are a little bit higher um, versus the Applewhites just showing up, killed somebody from before we even knew them, who we don't even care about, and then dates a character we don't care that much about either. So it's just like, sorry, my brain's not
Speaking
on if I'm going in circles.
you made sense. Speaking of
Thank
Orson
you.
showing up and integrating, this watch through, something I never really realized until now. Whenever he's introduced, it makes it sound like he's going to be more of a Susan character.
Hmm.
Yes.
And so like
Yeah.
I think of him as a Brie character, and then all of a sudden here he is talking with Susan in the nursing home in the last one, and then he's in she runs into him at the theater, and then it's like I'm like, Wait, so when does the Brie thing
Right.
happen?"
Right, right. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, in my mind's eye, I have a lot of love for Orson because in my mind's eye, he's just a good guy. Um, and obviously, like all of these characters are deeply layered and have their own like checkered pasts. But yeah, I do the same thing where I only really associate him with Bree. So remember, like seeing him with Susan in the movie theater, I was like, I totally forgot about that.
They must have
Speaking,
been bringing him in for a different reason at
Yeah.
first
they probably
because makes
changed
sense.
direction.
Yeah.
Speaking of Orson in the nursing home and changing direction, who is that lady who would go to see? She's never brought up again after season 2. I was waiting for her to come back in, but like she's never brought up again.
I think
Ever.
I saw something, I think it was maybe like one of the fan accounts posted like a fun fact about that. I don't know what the validity of it is, but I think they just changed his storyline and he was supposed to have some like shady thing connected to that woman, but then they
Oh,
just
it
Wait,
didn't.
changed
that's
it.
maybe I'm in a different reality because I remember that being a whole storyline.
No,
No.
they just dropped it. I was waiting for her to. I was watching season 3, like waiting for her to come back in, and then like the rest of
Yeah.
his story, and then he leaves the show, and I'm like, who was that lady?
Oh, wow. Why do I have a vague memory of that?
Mandela effect. You Mandela
Mandela
affected
effect.
an entire storyline, and
I
you
think
did
so.
you did the opposite of my first watch there, where I forgot all the storylines, and
Yeah.
you're making up
Mhm.
stories.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Christy and I make up storylines, I feel like on a regular
We
basis.
love making up
It's called fan fiction.
storylines. No, we're gonna
Yeah.
get like a cease and desist from like Marc Cherry.
Now we keep joking about that. We have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I was thinking about is I was trying to think something I didn't even bring up with my first recording. I was like, because y'all talk about it, and then like everyone, I see a lot of people talking about Desperate Housewives. I was like, I don't have anything unique to say, and I'm like, I kind of do have a unique perspective, as I'm asexual and non-binary, and so I'm watching the show. Like, y'all know what asexual is, right? I have to explain it to
I
some
sure
people.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
Oh, that was how I identified for a really long time.
Okay. Oh, see, we have so much in common.
We actually do.
Are we the same person?
I think we were separated at birth.
We were separated at birth. And so I had to explain it to so many people, but
Yeah,
because of that I see the world differently than other people. Like sex everywhere, everything,
right.
everyone's and so like I'm watching that and I see like Carlos, he's set on something and Gabby just goes like that and or opens up her top and then Carlos
Right.
never mind, I'm going with you. And I'm like and then like Tom getting mad because Lynette is like she's too busy to have sex with him, and I'm like, dude, or like my mind is like, why?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
No, I
then
totally get that.
like I'm not into the whole macho thing, so like
Yeah.
I see that in media and like they try to like you know
No, I get it because even that phrase like sex sells, I always was like, why?
yeah, why?
Yeah.
It's like
My
it
mom would
sells
tell me
because
that
they
all the
say
time
it
when I was growing
sells.
up.
Oh,
What?
brother.
Said my mom would always tell that to me when I was growing up.
Oops.
Yeah. And I just like never understood what all the fuss was about. And it's funny
Yeah.
because like it's such a strong theme of Desperate Housewives. It's like, somehow ingrained in every episode. So,
Yeah, and what's funny is like I don't notice it. Like, apparently I don't notice people flirting with me. Because I was at perfect example, and my friends, because I'm in San Francisco, I moved here from Ohio. My friends in Ohio will occasionally still bring this up. I was at Payless back in 2014, and I was buying a pair of shoes, and the girl at the counter, like we were talking, we were just chatting, and then after I was paying, I paid. She goes, "Oh, and then you're gonna have to write down your phone number to put in the thing." I was like, she asked for my phone number, and I'm thinking to put into like for like a Payless membership sales coupon thing,
yeah.
and I was like, "Okay, here," and I gave her my phone number, gave her my name. I'm like, "Here," and then we got back in the car. And my friend was like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "Do what?" And they're like, "She was flirting with you." I'm like,
Oh my
"What?"
God. What? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but again, Trevor, I'm so similar where like I honestly don't know half the time when that's happening to me.
Summer, you're such a little flirt. Are you kidding me?
Well,
Okay,
okay,
I'm
so
I'm
no,
a
Oh my
Libra.
God,
no,
Barrett. Oh my God,
no, okay,
Barrett. Come to
Christy.
Disneyland.
I'm going to defend Summer real quick because my
Yes,
friends say
please
the
do.
same. My friends say the same thing about me. They're like, they say that I'm always flirting, and I'm like, I'm just having a conversation.
Yes, I'm just
What's
a
your sign?
Libra.
I'm a Gemini, like my father before me.
Okay,
Wait,
that
when's your birthday?
May 25th.
Oh, a May Libra
and
or a
I'm a
May
Gemini
Gemini.
rising.
That's so real of you, Summer, to be Gemini rising. I see that. I see that for
Wait,
you.
are we the same signs?
So if you're a Gemini sun, I'm a Gemini rising, I'm a Libra sun, and we are known for being very flirtatious and charismatic. I can't help it if I'm adorable. If you have a problem with that, take
You
it up
are
with God.
adorable.
Thank you.
I'm an
Christy's like,
Aquarius,
no.
so
See?
yeah, but no, Summer's always like, "Oh my God, like come to Disneyland with us."
Because I love Disneyland.
It's like, no, Summer, I don't think you can help though. Because I would tell you to stop being so adorable, but I know you can't help it. Like, even in that
You're my
last episode,
favorite.
like because now that y'all started posting your episodes on YouTube, I stopped listening to the episode. I start watching you because of course if I can see you, I want to see you.
Thank
But like
you.
now I can see your mannerisms. Summer, in that last episode, like you started, you're like, I'm so drunk, and I could tell the whole episode you felt like crap,
I
but you
did.
were like so adorable the whole time because
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I
like
felt terrible.
like I feel so bad for her, but like she's so precious.
Thank you. No, you're too kind because I went through and I edited that episode because I edit most of them. And though I know you responded to this, we had put something on our Facebook group about what's the one sure way that you can tell who edits which episode, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. And you had said something like, "I'm still trying to figure out which voice belongs to which host."
I
But
figured it
the
out.
way you can tell is that in the episode description, when we write down like Bree does this, Susan does that, at the bottom we say like Summer and Christy talk about blah blah blah. If it says Summer and Christy, I wrote it. If it says Christy and Summer, she wrote it.
You both put each other first.
Wait, I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice that? Yeah,
No,
I
that's so funny.
I always put my name first. I actually wanted to see if anybody would pick up on it.
I didn't
Um,
even pick up on that.
I
that's
never look at
hilarious.
descriptions. I never look at descriptions.
Oh, well, then no, then you wouldn't know. But yeah, no, that's just I don't know how I got onto that, but yes.
Like literally
Um,
on my descriptions, I just put like for this, I have like a template that I do like for like example like movie title was what is a 1995 comedy movie directed by this, starring this, and then I have like a third
Right.
one like describing the movie like it was based on this book. Like I put no thought into it other than that. It's like it's just
Right.
basic template.
Yeah, I get that. I like to read a
yeah.
description as I'm like watching or listening to something because my brain does 10 things at once, unfortunately. So I like hyperfixate on the description. And that's where we like throw in links and such, but I get it.
Yeah. Summer and I
When
also decided that what did you say when we were recording last night? Summer said we're like the doe-eyed siren duo, which is
So,
so true
yes.
because she's so like cute and like and I'm like,
That's us.
yeah.
yeah, it's like you're so serious, but you're also not at the same time.
That's why I'm more Susan and she's more Gabby.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gabby, I, I think my favorite actor from the whole show is probably Ava. Uh, and because like she's not Gabby at all. Like I've seen interviews with
No.
her,
Mm-hmm.
and like for example, like the first time I was watching it, and the second time I was watching it, and now this time, when Gabby would laugh, I'm like, wow, how'd she come up with that laugh? Did they like tell her to do that, or did she come up with that? No, that's her laugh.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
Yeah.
Ava's laugh, and I'm like, I love that. I love that she doesn't try to
Yeah.
like try to do like as glamorous as she looks. She doesn't try to do like an elegant laugh. She just is out there. It's like, ha ha. I don't know how
Yes,
she does it.
yes.
I
It's
just
just
love
this
her laugh.
authentic. Yes, and
Yeah.
the night that Christy and I met our enemy, Jesse Metcalf, he was hosting a party in West Hollywood, and on that same night, Eva Longoria was hosting a party elsewhere. And for some reason, we ended up at the Jesse Metcalf party instead of the Eva Longoria party, and it's still something I regret to this day.
I know. I think the Eva Longoria party just didn't make as much sense. Like we didn't understand what was going on over there as
Sure,
much.
yeah.
But it's
And
Eva
it was too
Longoria.
far. I know. But it was all the way in like Venice. We'll
Oh,
get her
okay.
again. We'll get her
Yeah,
again.
yeah, there's time.
Oh yeah. We've got years of this podcast.
God willing.
Yeah, and we're
Yeah.
lucky enough to now, well, maybe not lucky, but we are now covering season 3. It's been a year and we have skipped some weeks in between. So now we're
I
like on
noticed.
episode 3 and it's weird. It's like been a long time coming.
Now that I'm caught up and I'm watching episode by episode, I'm noticing what you're talking about, that you're not really consistent. You don't have a schedule.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And it's like, okay, you post an episode and then you posted the next one a week later, and then the next one's like 2.5 weeks later. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I see. You
We
just
used to be
drop
really
it when
good
you
at
drop
it.
it.
We used to be good.
I post this every okay, so my schedule's a little weird. From June through September, it's every Sunday, every other Sunday. And then from October through the end of the year, it's every Sunday because of
Oh,
holiday
okay.
films.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you're
Yeah.
so
you're
that's what
probably a lot more organized than we are.
I am. If you saw my notes, I am OCD, so I make a list of everything. And so like for example, remember how I said that with when I do the descriptions of the episodes, I don't
Oh,
actually
yeah.
I don't really put much thought into it. I'm also stalling right now because it's going to take me a while to actually get to what I'm trying to talk about. I should actually just do a search on here for that because it's taking me longer to find than I thought I was gonna. I'm just gonna search for it. Oh, found it. Okay, so my House of Flying Daggers episode. It's loading. The Notes app, it says House of Flying Daggers is a 2004 film directed by this starring this. It's more of a love story than a pure martial arts film. That's all the description. But
Oh,
my
Oh
okay.
wow.
notes, I
Holy.
do. So I take a lot of notes, and I'm very
Yeah.
organized.
Mhm.
I wish we had that capability. Maybe one day we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay, I do need to wrap up soon because I have people
Oh,
coming over here in like 30
it says
minutes.
less than 1 minute. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
Oh,
wrap the say. I didn't even notice that the countdown.
I didn't either.
Say the farewells real quick.
thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much for having us on, Trevor. We're going to be kicked off in a second, but let's absolutely do this again. I'm sorry I have to leave, but I got people
It's
coming. But
been,
this was so fun. I love just giggling and chatting.
yes,
To do it
it's
again.
been so much fun.
Yes.